Welcome into the show. We are live at Mad Mushroom Pizza right across the street from EKU's campus, giving you your first tailgate show of the day, the tailgate show of the people. And I'm Vince Stover, your host with the Sports Stove podcast. I want to encourage you to come on over to Mad Mushroom for the show. We'll be live here until about 1 o'clock this afternoon, getting you ready for EKU's kickoff against Kennesaw State. We're going to cover some basketball stuff here in a minute as well. But Mad Mushroom Pizza have been serving Colonel since 2016, again, located right across the street from EKU's campus. Come on by. They've got seats inside. You come, sit down, enjoy the show, or anytime throughout the week, come in as well. Mention the Sports Stove podcast. You're going to get $5 off your order at $20 or more. Or if you order online, madmushroom.com, use the code SPORTS5, and you'll get that same $5 off your order of $20 or more. If you come in for the show, you get 10% off your purchase as well. And we've got a fun show for you today. All the athletes, all the coaches are busy this weekend. Girls basketball taking some downtime. Just kidding, they're playing. But in Ireland, and split the series so far there and had a good time there. I'll tell you what, these girls are fun to watch. Make sure you get your tickets to come out when EKU gets home. Watch those girls play basketball. They're an entertaining style of play, and these girls can shoot this year as well. Big difference from last year is the shooting for the EKU women. Still don't have a whole lot of size on this team, but over time they'll get what they need to do. Coach Todd's excited about what they have, especially Rainey and Walker adding a lot of offense to the team, and of course Emma Hacker as well, playing great to start the season. So make sure you go out and support those girls. Of course, the news of the evening, though, was the EKU men down in Atlanta, Georgia, playing Georgia State. Number one play on SportsCenter's top 10 plays of the evening, and that one goes to Cooper Robb. He was 0 for 4 from the three-point line until the last second of the game. He was way back there behind half court, goes up, hits the last second shot to win the game, 62-61 for the EKU men. They're now 2-2 on the season, and a decent start for them. They're, again, another entertaining team. The slogan of most exciting 40 minutes in sports is definitely for this team. They are young, they are athletic, they can jump, they can defend, and on some nights they can shoot. I know they'd like to improve some of that, but they're shooting 40% on the season from the three-point line. They were 39% last night as well. 50% from the free throw line last night. It's probably not something AW wants to continue to see, but they get the win, and you got to be happy with that. 3 players in double digits. Isaiah Cozart, 10 points, 8 rebounds. Michael Moreno, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Tay Blanton, 18 points. He had 5 boards to go along with his 2 assists. He led the team in scoring, 8 of 17 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Tay really is the player that matters the most on this team this year. When he's on the floor, EKU always has a chance to win, and he's a vital part of this team. Tayshawn Comer, kind of a slow start for the freshman point guard. Last night, he did not score. He adds other things to the team, of course, as well. But as a freshman, there are things to learn when you get into this level of play. It's not like high school anymore. You're playing against bigger, faster, stronger guys, and we know it's coming around. Leland Walker, the other freshman guard, did well last night. 7 points, 4 steals on the night for Leland as well. Cooper Robb, of course, with the game-winning shot, had 7 points to go along with 4 rebounds and a steal in the game as well. John Ukamoto had 5 points. DK had 4 points as well. So, again, it's a fun team to watch. They're going to be much more athletic than last season. They're a whole lot younger than last season as well. Make sure you get your tickets. Come out and be a part of the EKU hoops scene this year in the Baptist Health Arena and Alumni Coliseum. You want to be there for those games. Today, though, is all about football, although EKU basketball is playing again today. But today is all about football in the EKU world, because today is one of the most important games of the season for this EKU team. As a win today, at least Matt Rowan thinks, gets them a playoff spot, as their resume has been pretty decent this year. Matt Rowan being a part of the committee that talks about the playoffs and all those sorts of things. He has a good fingertip on what is needed, what is necessary for these teams to have success and to make that postseason play. And he said that win over SEMO pretty much sealed it. As long as they win today against Kennesaw State, they should be looking at the playoffs. They got quality wins this year against SEMO and against Bowling Green. They only lost by a touchdown in the opening game of the season against Eastern Michigan at Eastern Michigan. And, of course, that was without head coach Walt Wells. That was just days after his cardiac episode, if you talk to the university, heart attack, if you talk to Coach Wells. And they were able to have some big wins. But you look at the rest of the year, they had the last-second loss to Sam Houston. They followed that up with a last-second win against North Alabama. They beat SEMO on the road, which was a huge win. They blow out Central Arkansas, but then last week losing 42-17 against Jacksonville State. Had they won that game, they would have punched their ticket to the playoffs as well. But again, Athletic Director Matt Roan feels very confident. A win against Kennesaw State today, and EKU heads into the FCS playoffs, which would be a big deal here for EKU, and definitely a goal that they're trying to accomplish this year as well. Let's talk about our IPM Pest and Termite Pest of the Day. IPM Pest and Termite is Central Kentucky's neighborhood pest professionals. If you live in Madison County or surrounding areas, make sure you get a hold of IPM Pest and Termite. They take care of those stink bugs, centipedes, spiders, whatever you got. They'll take care of you. Go check out their reviews on Google or Angie's List or anywhere else you can find reviews and see what customers are saying about IPM Pest and Termite. You find more information at myipm.com. The pest of the day is Kennesaw State. When this game was scheduled originally, we thought this was going to be a huge game. Kennesaw State's had some really good years. They get their first year into the ASUN, and really it's been a down year for them. They're 5-5 on the season. 1-3 in the conference as they lost guys. Guys moved on through graduation and transferring and left them kind of in an interesting situation. But they are a dangerous team nonetheless. Quarterback Xavier Shepard is the leader of this team, but mainly through the ground. He has thrown for just over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. He also has 7 interceptions, but he's completing at 50% of his passes. Most of these are shorter drop-down passes, but he's also hit some long bombs as well. But on the ground, 205 attempts, 589 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Leads the team in rushing and in touchdowns this year for Kennesaw State. If you stop Xavier Shepard, you win the game hands down. Running backs, they've got 4 running backs with over 50 carries on the year. They'll run out 5 different running backs, though, at different points in different games. Preston Daniels leads the way, 71 carries, 352 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Jonathan Murphy has more touches, less yards, but more touchdowns as well. He has 6 touchdowns on the season. You'll also see Isaac Foster, who's the lead back out of the backfield. He's got 272 yards and 3 touchdowns rushing, 301 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. Might also see Jordan Lay, who's had 50 carries, or Gabriel Bernard, who has had 25 carries on the season, but more touches here as of late. Wide receivers to worry about, Blake Bohannon, 11 catches, 199, and 1 touchdown. That sounds like a really good game for Jaden Higgins. That's a whole season for Blake Bohannon. Xavier Hill, Chavis Young will also be involved in the pass game. But the leading receiver, 199 yards, so shy of 200 yards. So as you can tell just from the stats, a Kennesaw State game is geared around that run game. Xavier Shepard, the quarterback, leading the way. But they've got plenty of backs back there as well. Special teams has been an issue for Kennesaw State this year. They are 12 of 20 in field goal attempts this year. They've run out 2 different kickers, both of them with very similar success or lack thereof. But they have not missed an extra point yet this season. Field goals have been a struggle. Defensively, 20 sacks on the season for this Kennesaw State defense. 15 interceptions, 5 each for Markeith Montgomery and DeAndre Morris. 3 interceptions for Chance Gamble. All those guys are defensive backs for this Kennesaw State defense. So they have been very efficient and very effective defensively through the air. Parker has thrown 7 interceptions, most of those coming early in the season. He was averaging an interception per game to start the season. He finally was able to taper that back, make the throws more efficiently and more effectively. But this defensive backfield will definitely be ball hawking today against Parker. Speaking of Parker and EKU, 6-4 on the season, 2-2 in the conference. Parker now over 3,000 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He's also rushed the ball 78 times for 373 yards and 8 touchdowns. So 31 touchdowns on the year for Parker McKinney. And we're excited to have him back next season, again, where he will just extend all those records that he already holds. Running the football, Braden Sloan came into the season. Really, everyone was kind of expecting him to take over and be the best runner on this team. And he has been the best runner on the team, but that run game has still struggled to find consistency for EKU. Braden Sloan, though, leads the team with 525 yards, 4 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns. Joshua Carter has come on late in the season. He's carried the ball 38 times, 219 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Of course, Joshua Carter, brother of Michael Carter, the running back for the New York Jets. Had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. Great conversation with him. If you did not hear it, make sure you go back to the Sports Stove podcast and take a listen to Joshua Carter. Gave a lot of insight on his upbringing and his return to running back as he was playing linebacker before he transferred in to EKU. Wide receivers have been the highlight of the EKU offense outside of Parker McKinney. The Jaden brothers, Jaden Smith, 50 catches, 603 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jaden Higgins has come on strong as well, 44 catches, 596 yards, 7 touchdowns, leads the way for EKU. And Cornelius McCoy, the new face, but also one of the oldest receivers on the team. He has now come on very strong, been an integral part of this offense, especially since Dak Allen went down. 36 catches, 462 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Defensively, 12 sacks, 10 interceptions. TK McClendon has 4 sacks, Kelton Dawson with 3. And that defensive line will be busy today against this run game of Kennesaw State. So will the linebacking core behind them. That's 10 interceptions on the season, a little bit lower than what the defensive staff would like. But overall, this EKU defense has played a lot of bend-don't-break sort of defense. And we've had games where they have been absolutely phenomenal. That Central Arkansas game is definitely one of those games. And honestly, that Sam Houston game, even with the loss, was one of the best defensive performances they put on all season until that last minute of the game. But they've had some good ones today, and we expect a big one today for especially that defensive front 7. I told you about the big wins already on the year, Bowling Green and SEMO. And one good loss, if you can call it that, Eastern Michigan, was definitely one of those things that makes you look at it and go, man, if they can play like that without their head coach coming in to start off the season, we knew it was going to be a special season, and there's still time for lots of special things to happen for the EKU football team as they help close out the regular season today at home against Kennesaw State, and then wait to see what happens when it comes to the playoffs as well. A lot of good things happening around the university. We tried to get President McFadden to come on. We had him scheduled earlier in the year, and he had a last-minute change. We weren't able to get him, but he's out of town, as with pretty much everybody from the university, it seems like, this time of year, which is perfectly fine, and we're excited to have it. We've had several guests on throughout the year on these tailgate shows, from players to coaches to fans to parents. And today, Coach Ron, you got time for me? All right. We're going to bring on another parent here today. He seems to come up in all the other parents we've talked to this season. And we had a great interview with his son. Ryan Jackson, defensive lineman for EKU, came on our show, the Sports Stove podcast, several weeks ago and had a phenomenal conversation with him. Looking forward to another one here in the near future. Ron is Ryan's dad, and I'm excited to talk to Ron about several things today. But how you doing, by the way?
It's frog hair split 4 ways.
There we go. And if you've ever had frog hair split 4 ways, you know exactly what he's talking about.
Very fine.
Very fine. Very fine. Ron, I'm going to start with your son, Ryan. Ryan's been around now for a few years, and he's been a part of I think, the most solid group of guys on the team, this defensive line unit, because each year you've had the veterans that have come in, along with the guys who are homegrown here at EKU as well. How much growth have you seen from your son from the time he came into EKU to where he is right now?
Well, tremendous growth. First of all, he's got a fantastic position coach. He's been around. The coaching staff at EKU is absolutely top notch. From the time he got here as a freshman, I was a little concerned, but you know, he worked his way. They've done a fantastic job getting him stronger and preparing him to compete.
Yeah.
So literally, he has grown tremendously. Much bigger, much faster, much stronger, much more aggressive, and and he's blessed that he gets an opportunity to contribute.
Yeah. Talk about that concern a little bit, because we talked to several parents, and that transition from high school to college, especially in athletics, let alone without athletics, right? Just coming from a high school student to a college student, but then you add in the athletic side of it as well. What were you working on to prepare him for that next step? And then what were those things that you were concerned about that you've really seen him step into?
Well, I was blessed. I coached him in middle school, and then I coached him again in high school, and I coached his position. I've been fortunate to coach several kids that have gone on to play college, so I kind of knew what he was going to be up against. So when I guess the first game when we went and played Marshall, you go out there and as a parent, you're super excited and all that. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, my goodness, my 18-year-old is about to go up against some cats that are in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
And he goes from being the biggest kid on our football team to being one of the smallest ones. I'll tell you a funny story. When we got there, we heard he got in the ball game last few minutes or whatever, and all of a sudden we hear tackle by Jackson. So me and my wife, we're just excited. We're like, oh, my goodness. We hear it again, tackle by Jackson. And then I look, and he's over on the sidelines, and I'm thinking, how in the world did he get from the field to the sidelines that quick? We hear tackle by Jackson. I'm like, he's on fire. And we looked at the roster, and that's when we found out about
Matt Jackson. Yeah. There's a lot of tackles by Jackson. Yeah, for sure. And you get two of them out there, it even adds up. You get more than that. So what a wonderful thing. That's hilarious. It's funny. I'm hoping to have a sit down with Ryan and Matt and a couple other guys after the season's done and kind of recap the season, have them all together, because you get them individually and you see some of these personalities. And Ryan he's a great interview. And so is Matt too. And you get these guys talking and get them going. But I know that once you put them together, it adds up, right? So talking about this team a little bit, and again, you've seen it where it was when Ryan came in and to where it is now. And everybody says just the improvement of the culture, right? The EKU has a great history. You're from the Middle Tennessee area. I grew up in Middle Tennessee and always heard about EKU from that rivalry with Middle Tennessee State as a kid. But there's a great history here at EKU. But the culture over time started to shift a little bit. And now with Coach Wells and the staff and what they're doing here, how have you seen that culture improve in the time that Matt's been here? Or not Matt, sorry, Ryan's been here.
Well, I'll tell you this. I played against Eastern Kentucky back in their heyday. And you're absolutely right. It was fantastic. Stadium's always packed. Is an aggressive place to try and play and whatnot. So, when we first got here, it was the COVID season. So you had a lot of kids that kind of opted out and whatnot. To the coaching staff's credit, it was always a next man up. And they always wanted, and if you could compete, you could compete.
Yeah.
And what I saw is they started bringing in kids that had won championships at other levels, that had been very successful, and they wanted kids that wanted to be here. And once that kind of got established, then the players kind of took over. They're good about, I think they call it a player-led mentality or something to that effect.
Yeah.
They hold each other responsible. And I guess the biggest thing that I've seen is they compete. And they compete at just about everything that they do. So in the 3 years that he's been here, and this is his third year, the accountability has gone through the roof as far as players to play, coaches to players, players to players, and whatnot. And they literally do expect to win. So I guess when it really hit home for me was after the Eastern Michigan game. Well, as a fan and as a dad, we're like, oh man, y'all played great. We kind of expected you to lose.
Right.
And every one of them was super disappointed, and they knew that they could have won that ball game. So that's when I knew, oh my gosh, we've got something here. Yeah, definitely. And that mentality, you talk about the player-led things and stuff like that. And as I've talked to guys and had them on my show, I always, especially early in the season, start talking about that transition from when these new guys come in, because now the transfer portal is a huge deal. So you got guys who have worked their way up or waited their time, so to say, and all of a sudden they get a transfer that comes in that isn't handed the starting job, but there is an expectation, hey, this guy's going to compete for playing time. And we've watched as some of these guys, they're okay with that competition, which is a lot to say, especially for young guys, to say, hey, I know that I'm 19, I know I've been here 2 years, or I'm 20 and been here 2-3 years,
and this guy's coming in from another D1 school or an SEC school, whatever it may be. And for them to be able to say, I'm still going to go out there and do my part and earn my playing time. We've seen it with Jalen Harrod. It's probably the most notable that I can look at, just where he's done his job and now he gets his opportunity. But it seems like from all the players I talk to, they say, and they're not going to say anything different, I suppose, but they prove that, hey, I know competition's coming and I'm ready for it.
I think it's a healthy relationship and it's a healthy atmosphere because they really don't. Well, let me give you a better example or an example. T.K. McClendon comes here from LSU. Kelvin Dawson comes here from Georgia Tech, and they were second string last year.
Yeah,
they were expected to come in and compete, and they had to. And it doesn't make it. I mean, iron sharpens iron. It doesn't make anything, but it doesn't do anything but provide good competition, and it makes all the players better.
It makes them better. That's exactly right. So they're going to come in, and now in practice, they're competing against top-level talent. So then when they face top-level talent in games, it's not like the first time they've ever seen top-level talent.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and Coach Wells and the program staff has done such a good job. We talked to all the position coaches this year leading up to the season, which was so enlightening for me, and to kind of get their mindset and see, man, not only are the players buying into what Coach Wells is teaching, this staff is bought in too. Your son has had the same position coach all 3 years, which is rare in today's day and time. I don't know how much longer he'll have the same position coach, because eventually this staff's going to start getting offered some nice positions ahead of time.
They have to. Coach Hawkins has done a fantastic job with the defensive line. Our offensive coordinator, Coach Richmond, Coach Johnson makes it easy for them to they've got a fantastic coaching staff.
Yeah.
So I fully expect some of them to. But here's another thing: they're all friends. They all get along. There's something to be said about continuity.
Yeah.
And Richmond's a fantastic town to live in and raise a family and whatnot. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they stay together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, we've been in Richmond since 2020 and absolutely love it. We were in Lexington before, but we don't hate Lexington, but we love Richmond. And it is a good town. They got Mad Mushroom. I mean, there's plenty of good things going on in Richmond as well. And the community, let me get your perspective on this. So the community, all sports fans are a little fickle. When you're winning, you get the support. When you're losing, you lose some support. This year, though, from day one of the season, we've had incredible crowds at home football games. And we've seen that carry through. Even after tough losses, we've seen everybody come back out for the next one. How have you seen the game day atmosphere transform over the last 3 years at EKU?
Well, it's absolutely incredible. And there's no real comparison. The first year was the COVID year, so only parents and essential personnel were allowed. Well, going into the second year, what I noticed was the kids were out in the community. They did a lot of things at the schools. They were just a friendly group. And and I'm going to say that's a credit to. I think that's a credit to Matt Roan and his staff, because all the teams here at Eastern Kentucky are easy to root for. When they first started recruiting Ryan, I don't mean no harm, but most of the teams just had struggled. The women's basketball had struggled, men's basketball had struggled, baseball, softball, all that good stuff. But they were so, and I'm a football fan, so that's really all I kept up with. Yeah. But what I found was it was easy to root for the other teams. It was easy to get involved. If you wanted to, if you see Coach Hamilton on campus, he's going to stop and talk to you. Yeah. If you see Coach Wells on campus, he's going to stop and talk to you. And I think that they've connected back, and just not only the football program, but the entire athletic department has connected back to the Richmond community. Yeah. And I believe that is the reason that you see such a tremendous outpouring in football. And I hope it continues into the women's basketball. Last year, I thought they had a fantastic little fun team to watch. And I hope it continues over into baseball and softball. And I would hope that the city of Richmond coalescing gets behind their team. I mean, the kids are doing nothing but representing the city and going to make things much better here. So it's encouraging to see the overall outpouring of support, not only for the football team, but for every team that comes out there.
Yeah, and you're right. I think it's great that they brought in Greg Todd, who's got local ties as well. But, Coach Wells, Coach Todd both have kids in the local schools, playing sports in the local schools, things like that as well. And you're right, AW is one of the kindest people. And I've been fortunate to go watch some of their practice, sit on some of their practices. And the girls team, I beg people to come out and support that girls team. Last year, good crowds for the guys team, poor crowd for the girls teams. And I know over time that'll build up because they're going to be winning games. But, man, this team this year, I don't know how much you've gotten to watch them in these few games so far. Mari Walker is a beast out there.
And I'll add something else. Going back to Matt Roan.
Yeah.
I can remember back when during the COVID season that our first two games were against Marshall and West Virginia. So we were way outmanned and whatnot. And we're down big at halftime at Marshall. And literally, as they come out of halftime, Matt Roan shook every kid's hand that came out. I mean, to me, that was special. You just don't see that in athletic programs. Right?
Yeah.
I was at the volleyball game the other day, and lo and behold, there's Matt Roan cheering on our volleyball team.
Yeah.
So, we're blessed here. I hope we're able to take advantage of it. I hope we're able to continue to move forward.
So we talked about this with Matt a couple weeks ago about the conference thing. I'm not going to ask you if you've been given any information or what they've talked to parents and players about and stuff like that. But obviously, Conference USA is not going to happen. From everything it looks like, that's off the table now. I had one guy tell me the MAC, they've talked with the MAC, who knows. But we know that they're looking to move forward. They don't want to stay where they are. That's not a knock on the ASUN, but that's been their goal all along, is to move forward. Did that play at all into the recruitment of your son, or go anything into now things that they talk to the players about moving forward?
When it comes to recruiting my son actually committed to the previous coaching staff.
Okay.
And then when they weren't retained, he recommitted to Coach Wells and whatnot. But what his thought process was, literally, he picked the school before he picked the team. He was in love with the community before, and so it made it easy for him.
Yeah.
As long as as long as they still wanted him and whatnot. The conference, I mean, I'm an old football coach, so to me, field's 50 yards wide, it's 100 yards long. It really don't matter the acronyms that are on the field or anything like that. I'm glad that we play in a conference that I personally can make the majority of the ball game.
Sure.
I think it would be beneficial, and I'm happy to see them want to play at the highest level that they can.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that the Colonel Caravan that they had in Nashville. When I went to that's the first thing that Matt Roan told everybody. He said, he didn't commit to a particular conference or division. He said, we were going to play at the highest level that we could, which as a parent, that's fantastic news. If you're a competitor, that should be fantastic news. They beefed up the schedule. I mean, when they were recruiting Ryan, I remember one of the games that we come to was Presbyterian, and I thought, why in the world are we playing? no disrespect to Presbyterian or anything like that, but I'm thinking, why in the world are we playing there? So competition, it brings out the best in everybody. So I don't know what direction that they want to go, but I am completely in support, and I have complete faith in the athletic department and our current leadership as to when we get there, it's going to be the right decision.
Yeah. One of the things that you talk about, the schedule they're playing this year, tough schedule all around: football, basketball, volleyball, baseball. Everything is getting a pretty tough schedule. One of the things that does is it gets that spotlight on those kids for the ones that want to go to the next level. It gives them more opportunity. And they've been bringing through scouts pretty consistently this year. They've been working on that for a while. They had a pro day list last year, things like that as well. And with the guys that they've been bringing in, the older guys, transfers and things like that, I think that's helped get some eyes on everybody on the team, because now, I mean, you got guys like Parker, who's going to draw a little bit of interest. You got guys like Matt, who was drawing interest as a safety, Matt Jackson, and from the scouts. And you got guys this year that have that potential now to get drafted, not let alone the guys that are going to have opportunities for undrafted free agency and these other XFL, USFL, Canadian Football League and stuff like that. Do you feel like the university's done a good job getting your son and the rest of the team seen for that opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. You got NFL scouts coming through here all the time. You've got, listen, we played West Virginia, we played Louisville, we played Marshall. I think next year we're supposed to play Cincinnati. I think we're going to play University of Kentucky at some point on the schedule and whatnot. So everybody's getting their opportunity to play against the absolute best. And listen, when the scouts come out, they may be looking at one person, but they'll see 2 or 3 others if there's an opportunity. And we're fortunate. I think we've got a couple of kids on the roster that kind of move the needle for the NFL and for the other leagues also. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. Talk a little bit about what you're doing back in Tennessee. We talked with Ryan about this when we had him on the show. You're working with developing young athletes a lot these days. You have a program, right?
Yeah, I own a little company called Next Level Sports, and we put together youth leagues for kids. So we have basketball, we have flag football, we have dodgeball leagues and whatnot. So I probably coached every kid in Middle Tennessee in something or another at some point in time. And then I also coach football at Friendship Christian.
Yeah.
So Ryan, he's always worked as one of my referees or one of my coaches or something like that. He's always been fairly good at it. So that's what he wants to do. I couldn't get him convinced to go in another direction. He wants to be a coach like his old man.
Yeah.
And, God bless him. I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. My kids are 14 and 11. My 11-year-old, I'm trying to convince him to be something other than a video game creator. That's what he wants to do right now. I was like, well, so that's a good idea. Let's keep our mind open. Well, maybe we'll have some other things pop up as we get older. But nonetheless, it's funny to watch how they grow and what they want to do. And I wanted to coach from the time I was 13. I wanted to be a coach. And it took until this year for that to actually happen. And I ain't 13 anymore. But it comes around, and it's fun how life works out, right?
It's a blessing. I've got kids that I coached back. They're 40 years old now. They'll come up and say, "Hey, Coach, you remember me?" And I'm like, "How could I forget you? You cried all the time." So, it's an extremely rewarding career. I think Ryan wants to coach in college, or I think he wants to coach at a little higher level than what I did. But it's extremely rewarding to your community. It's rewarding to just a person that I've been blessed.
Yeah, definitely. When you're talking to other parents about EKU and the school and what it means to your family, and you've spoken very highly of the university here, but on social media and things like that as well. What's the highlights of EKU?
The thing that I tell parents, and I get asked a lot, what should we do? What do we think? Stuff like that. I tell them, play where they love you. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I can say about Eastern Kentucky is they love my kids. Mm-hmm. And from what I see, they love all the kids that are on the team. And that doesn't necessarily mean playing time.
Right.
But you're gonna graduate.
Yeah.
And to a parent, that's huge.
It's a big deal.
Whether you play or not, but you're gonna graduate.
Yeah.
You almost have to try not to graduate. Around here with the support that they have and whatnot. The campus is a beautiful campus. The kids all get along. It really is like a family. It was tough on me because I played at Western Kentucky, so I would not have chosen Eastern Kentucky. Yeah. I'm not sure much how long I can wear this hat.
Yeah.
But from the community. Gosh, I can remember the first time that we came and we stopped and ate. I think we ate at the old Coopers, and the lady, I believe, that owned it or managed it or whatever, stopped and sat at our table and talked about Richmond, Kentucky for 15 minutes. And so you're gonna feel like you belong.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you get a lot of opportunity. If you want to do something, you got the chance. here.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why it's so attractive to other players that hit the transfer portal or whatever.
Yeah.
You got tremendous facilities. You got tremendous support. We got great coaches. I mean, golly, we got some of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah.
So if you want to be successful, you gotta pick the right path, and it was the right path for mine.
Yeah. Last thing for you, beginning of the season, a couple of days before first game, get a phone call, I'm sure, from your son. I got a text message. I was at church, got a text message, said something's going on. Started trying to figure out what's happening, and next thing you know, it was Coach Wells. The cardiac episode officially. What was the thought process going on early when everything was coming down, and then as things continued on?
We were here for something. It was the spring game, or not the spring game, but they had a scrimmage.
Yeah.
And so we had just gotten on the interstate to go back home, and Ryan didn't call us because he don't call us for anything. But another parent sent us a text message.
Yeah.
So it takes us about 3.5 hours to get here. So the entire ride home, we had no idea. We just knew something bad had kind of happened.
Yeah.
Now, I go back with Coach Wells a little bit. He played at McGavitt. He was a senior when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
And so I'm familiar with him, and I'm familiar with his brother. His mother lives out in the Nashville area. And, what we did, we just simply prayed.
Yeah.
We wanted the best. And the good news was everybody was pulling the rope in the same direction.
Yeah.
And one of these days the kids will look back, history will look back, or some people will look back, and that will be a monumental accomplishment for everything to fall the way it did. And the impressive thing was they didn't miss a beat.
Right.
They really didn't. So that is a credit to Coach Wells and his staff, the university, and everybody. Again, play where you love you. I guess you have a cardiac episode where they love you too.
Sure. They take care of you, right?
They really took care of him.
Yeah.
He come back the very next ball game.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: we're at Bowling Green, and where they had us sitting, we were right behind where he was standing and everything, and he was pretty intense involved in the ball game. The wind kind of blew his hat off. He done bent over to pick his hat off. Everybody thought he was dead. So we were relieved to see
Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe he was there. The Bowling Green, just being there alone was crazy. And then the next week he's got the headset back on.
Well, here's the thing. He's better than I am, because I wouldn't have been back, but he loves the school. He loves his players. He loves his team. He loves his coaches. And I don't think that he would rather be any other place. Outside of his family.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I don't believe that he'd rather be any other place. And, honestly, if the good Lord chose to take him right then, he'd have been. I think he'd have been happy, because he's in his happy place.
Right. Right. Today is the last home game, last regular season game of the season, playing Kennesaw State. You got a prediction?
You know what? I predict that the kids will play hard.
Okay.
I predict that the kids will be ready.
You're a coach. Yeah. Yeah, you're a coach.
I would be surprised that they don't play hard, if they don't come out ready to play. If they do that, we should have some success.
I agree with you. Run game is going to be important for Kennesaw State today. Your son's on that front line of defense there against that run game. You got some big boys doing some big work up there this season, and they'll be important today.
Got
to stop it.
Got to stop it.
Yeah.
If you stop that feedback, then that's that's one key to success.
Yeah.
We're also fortunate. We've got Coach Stillman. He's one of the best to ever do it at Army.
Right.
So literally, we ought to be prepared.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. You're exactly right. He said early on in his career at EKU, they had him playing scout quarterback against the Citadel, I think.
I remember that.
Yeah, he said he wasn't. He was excited to do it, and then he started doing it and realized this is hard now. It's not as easy as it was when he played, needless to say. Ron, thank you for spending some time with us today. We've enjoyed your support, appreciate your support of our program, and your support of the university as well. So thank you.
Let me say this, Mr. Stover. Thank you for your program. Thank you for you bring a lot of exposure to the Eastern Kentucky athletes, and as a parent, as a dad, I appreciate that, and I thank you for it. And I also thank you for introducing me to Mad Mushroom.
Yeah.
The cheese sticks with the nacho
cheese.
The nachos. I never thought that would be a combination, and I'm about to take some back home with me.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I hadn't tried it. I saw some. I don't remember who I saw. I saw it on Twitter. Somebody posted, and I thought, nacho cheese? That doesn't make any sense. But I was like, I'm going to try it. I tried it. And I thought, oh, my goodness. And now my 11-year-old, it's all he'll eat. It's the nacho cheese sauce with the cheese sticks. So, yeah, it's well worth the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And I want to say that from a fan and as a friend, I thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck today.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully we'll be celebrating the victory here in just a couple hours.
Roll current.
That's right. Roll currents. Very good. Thank you, Coach Ron. Ryan Jackson's dad. And Ryan's mom's here, too. Thank you for being here as well. Appreciate you coming out. Nathan, you want to talk for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We're going to bring in another guest. We'll bring in another guest.
They got a little warmer over there.
The frenemy, Nathan Hutchinson. Our show's about to get canceled since we're bringing Nathan on, but
That's true.
I'm kidding, of course.
You're gonna go over there in a minute. They're probably gonna hear about it.
Nathan Hutchinson is the sports editor at the Richmond Register. You've been busy. High school football playoffs. Are they officially done in Madison County?
Yeah. Unfortunately, last night Madison Central I went up to Ballard, and we knew it would be tough. Ballard has a really good defense, and the Central's top receiver had rolled his ankle in practice the other day, and he tried to go, bless his heart. He really did. He just couldn't go, and then it became too one-dimensional. You can't throw the ball. A team like Dunbar, Ballard is going to 7, 8, 9 guys in the box, and I mean
they're going to find a way to shut it down.
Yeah, Brady Gibbs is a tremendous running back. But even as good as you are, you got that many people in the box. You can't find any openings. So 42-7 last night. So, but the station's still in. Got station into the Final Four.
Yeah.
If you want to root for local public schools,
That was a surprising game, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10-7.
Yeah.
10-7. So first region title for them, and I think it was 99 or something. I think it's
been a while.
Like
Yeah. Well, now what do you transition to? Mostly basketball?
Yeah. We got wrestling here, swimming as well. I've already been to one swimming meet and wrestling and all kinds of stuff. And keeping an eye on the Colonels. I know I don't come to quite as many events as I do, but I still pay attention. I still watch the games. I snuck in for the second half of the Western game last Thursday. I don't know if I should say that or not. But I had a ticket, and I snuck in and watched the second half of that.
Yeah.
So, A-Dub's team's been interesting, huh? Because it's a much different team this year.
Drastically different from last year, especially.
I mean, I love the branding with the 40 most exciting minutes in sports, but they're not really playing that style so far this year. They brought in the two big guys with Speedy and Cozart, and they're playing a much more half-court style. So any coach, if they're going to be good, they got to be able to adjust to the players they have. Now, they have athletes. This John Ukamadu, once they unleash him, they saw him in the preseason stuff or whatever, but I think once you get to conference play, especially, you're going to see him step up and be really big for this team. He's trying to improve his shooting, but the guy can fly. And, I mean, he's athletic where he can drive through people and make things happen once he gets to the rim. But having Cozart and DK is huge because last year they brought in guys that were big, but injuries. How many times did we see the opposing team's point guard blow past one guy and walk into the lane for there was nobody in the
and if he didn't get the layup, he lobbed it to the other side of the rim for a dunk. It was rough last year watching that. And it's not that the players were bad; they were old and beat up, and that was rough. But this year, they're not old and beat up. They're young and athletic.
It's going to take a while though, for them to get this together. You can tell that they really it's still a work in progress. They're still feeling each other out. The two freshman point guards, and I guess Turner in there too. Three freshman point guards.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a while for them to get it worked out.
And that's the main issue is those guys, because they're going to be important pieces to this team, but they've got to grow up fast.
Yeah,
and
missed some big free throws against Western.
Yes.
So that hurt.
And they got that 1-3-1 trap just crushed those freshmen. They couldn't do anything against them, but they're going to learn from it. They'll get better. Tayshawn Comer, he is fun. And so is Leland. They're both absolute blast, great personalities. Looking forward to have them on the show in a couple weeks. And I mean, they're good kids. They work hard at practice. They go toe to toe with the veterans. I mean, they have no fear.
It's just very interesting to see this team play in the 60s. We're not used
right,
to that,
Right.
And when that game, let's say 62-61, and
the
Western game was 66-60, and we're not used to that.
I think we'll see that climb this season. Maybe not a ton, just into the 70s. It's going to climb at some point because he's got the pieces this year that he wants. AW does, and they've got the pieces, so it'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll get there. I think conference play is when they'll show what they have, but they do have to grow up fast. And Turner gets a lot of publicity because he's from the area originally, and his dad's been around, all those kinds of things. But he is a 5 to 8 minute a game kind of kid on this current team. That may grow, but Comer and Leland, those guys, they need them to be 20-minute a game guys. And Cooper, having Cooper's great defensively, especially in Tay. Like I said before, he stirs the drink. If you don't have Tay on the floor, you can tell it. That's a big difference because he can do everything.
I mean, he almost had a triple-double the other night.
Yeah.
He's been the first ever triple-double in EKU history.
Are you serious?
And I never had one. According to Greg Stottlemyre.
Okay.
I go by what Greg says.
Sure.
Greg's the guru on all this.
He knows it all. He knows it all.
But look for that. I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction because I don't make predictions, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got one this year at some point. He got a triple-double at some point this year. So that was against a good Cincinnati team, three assists short of a triple-double. So
yeah. Well, they're going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to take some time. The way Isaiah played against Western was incredible. Yeah. He pulled down every rebound when he was in there, and they need that. Because they did not have that last year.
He'll get a little more comfortable offensively. He has offensive skills.
Yes.
Of course, he didn't get to play a lot at Western.
Yeah.
And we saw that from his ninth grade year to freshman year or senior year in Central. He as a ninth grader, he was out there playing very raw. Didn't have any moves. And I remember Alan Feldhouse, I think it was his freshman year. He went up and made a move or something, laid the ball in, and he's like, next year he'll dunk that. And so you kind of saw that development.
Yeah.
About his senior year, he was a dominant force. But he didn't play that much at Western, so he really needs to get back in the flow. And he was played behind they had a lot of big guys when he was at Western.
Yes.
So he didn't get a chance to play much. That like 7'6" guy or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he'll get more into the groove of it.
Yeah, they had when they played, they had the guy listed at 7'5" as the starter. The backup was 7 foot. So. Yeah,
Stansbury's brought in some big boys over there.
He has.
That is for sure. But it'd be interesting today to watch. We're going to have to scoreboard watch and stuff. If you read I'll shamelessly
plug it.
Plug myself at richmondregister.com. You read the preview for today. I mean, this is confusing. This whole situation with the ASUN and the WAC and who gets the AQ and I looked at stuff all week trying to figure this thing out, and I think I got a pretty good handle on it. But I mean, I think we figured out what if they win today in Central Arkansas. Loses to Jacksonville, they should be all right.
Yeah.
Right? They should get the AQ.
Yeah, because they'll tie technically for the ASUN, but they beat Central Arkansas.
Have the best power ranking.
And the best power ranking.
Even though I couldn't find the power ranking last week. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find the list with where the power ranking was. So, because on the other side, so how this works is basically ASUN and WAC are kind of divided up. There'll be a champion of each, and then whichever champion has the higher power rating will get the AQ. And so it looks like it'll be, it could be EKU versus Abilene Christian, and EKU would have the higher power rating, and that would get them the AQ to the playoffs. But I don't know what the Abilene Christian has to play Stephen F. Austin today. So if they beat Stephen F. Austin, how much does their power ranking go up? Sure. Because obviously an EKU win over Kennesaw State probably wouldn't make your power ranking go up very much because they're 5-5. Right. So I'm not sure. This is still up in the air. It'd be nice to be in a conference where you knew that if you had the most wins in your conference, you were good. Yeah. Much simpler than that. And hopefully at some point the ASUN will be that conference. Who knows? Yeah. Right. But it's very confusing. So and the Jacksonville State Central Arkansas game is until 5. So EKU playing at 3, they don't play till 5. So EKU you may have to win and then go back to the locker room
and watch
the dorms or whatever and watch and see what happens down in Conway, Arkansas. So,
yeah. Well, plenty of excitement going on in the EKU world in football. Like I said, when we talked to Matt Roan last, the deal was with him being sitting on the committee, he knew exactly what they had to do schedule-wise to get this team to the playoffs. And he felt really confident after the SEMO win that even with the loss last week, a win today should seal it, whether it's automatic or not.
Him being on the committee will help, but I don't know everything I've looked at online. All the prognosticators are not giving the WAC ASUN any at-large bids at all.
Yeah.
So and that's EKU has 4 losses. They do have them win over Bowling Green, which helps the power ranking a lot. But there's nobody in the top 25 with 4 losses.
Yeah.
And so as like last year, EKU sitting there at 7-4, and there were a lot of teams like that, and they were the last team left out at 7-4. That won't be the case this year. You look down that top 25, and all those teams have 1 loss, 2 losses, 3 losses. So it'll be real hard for the committee, even with Roan on it, to justify putting them in over a CAA team or a Missouri Valley, or no, they don't call it Missouri Valley. It's what is it in? I can't think of what it's called.
Yeah.
It has North Dakota State and North Dakota and all
yeah.
those in it. Even like an 8-3 team from that league as opposed to a 7-4 team from this league. But
which would make that
SEMO's a good win. Bowling Green's a good win. They have 2 good wins on the resume. Of course, this one today I think will be tricky because Kennesaw State runs that triple option. And, of course, they've been the biggest disappointment in this league. They were picked.
They have been.
Thing.
Yeah.
And, they were top preseason, top 10, and a lot of people thought they were the class of this league, and they've not been that way. So
and if we get left out, even with a win today, if they don't make the playoffs, that Sam Houston game is going to be what's going to come back. And it's like that Indiana State game last year. It was very, very similar in the way it went down. It's like, oh man!
All year, I mean, the fact that they barely beat North Alabama here at home was really that. I mean, they came within 8 seconds of losing to the worst team in the ASUN at home.
Right.
So you can look at all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
But Matt being on the committee definitely helps. He's got a lot of pull, and trust me, they will put it in. It's been 8 years since we had a playoff game here, so before you guys started covering this stuff. But how this works is you have to put in a bid. I don't know if you talked about that when he was on with you. But you have to put in a bid to host a first-round game. So a lot of times it's not even who has the better record or who's the better team. It's who puts in the better bid. Because it was 8 years ago when they had James Madison here. James Madison had the better record. And the James Madison people were hits. They had to come all the way from Virginia to come here for a playoff game.
Yeah.
And they had better home attendance, had a better record, and they had to come here because EKU put a better bid.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Matt Roan will put in a hell of a bid. And if they any chance they can get a home game here, they will.
Sure.
And if they have to spend 10, 20, 25, 30,000, they'll do it and they'll get a bid. But that's how that works. You have to bid for it. And there are lots of times where teams don't want to have home games, but you have to pay for them. Basically, you have to pay for it. That's what it comes down to.
Well, and bringing in CG Bank and Baptist Health, helps.
They'll open up that book and checkbook, and they'll want a game here next Saturday.
Sure,
if they can get one. So,
well, and having the bank as your field sponsor, probably doesn't hurt either when it comes to putting in bids.
They will certainly, definitely, they will do everything they can to get a game here. So that'd be good. Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer. So
yes,
you guys have fun out there. I'm gonna watch it on TV, and then I got to go to Berea College. I'm also going to be keeping track of the 2 EKU basketball games as well today. So
I'll be
for ESPN Plus. Thank you, ESPN Plus.
Yes, I'll be sitting in the wonderful press box, warmly heated. No, there's nothing up there. Nice windows and the sunny day should help.
You're lucky there's electricity up there.
Yeah, we all just cuddle together and sit really close, but it's a intimate day for sure. Tell everybody about the Richmond Register. I know you got a show on YouTube as well. So where can people find the information that you're covering all the local stuff going on?
We're all over the place. I can sit here for all days plugging all that stuff. But Richmond R Sports on Twitter, Register Sports on Facebook. We do Richmond Register Sports Show on Sunday evenings. You've been on there before. And many other people. We're doing that tomorrow. I have no idea who my guest is. If anybody wants to come on the show tomorrow, come on and say hello.
Come by, just walk in. It's an open mic night with the Richmond Register Sports Show.
RichmondRegister.com, all that stuff. Of course, we work with Randy's sitting over there. We work with him. We do a nightly show also. Madison County Sports Night Live. We do kind of a Madison County Sports Center thing for about 10-15 minutes every night. So.
Yeah.
people have plenty of chances to look at my ugly face if they want to. So.
Well, Nathan, I've always appreciated your support, and thank you for welcoming me into the community, and appreciate you helping out with that. Of course, you cover our basketball team well as well, the Wellspring Guardians, and appreciative of that too, and plenty of things going on in the area.
Anything Madison County, it doesn't matter. Like I had to, we came out and took pictures of your game, and somebody sent me a text and said, "What the hell is a Wellsprings Guardian?" And I'm like, "It's a homeschool team. They're Madison County people." And he's like, "Oh, okay." As long as you're from here, we support anybody from here.
Yeah.
We don't spend a lot of time doing UK or anything like that, but anything here in Madison County. So just happy to spread the word.
We appreciate it.
Madison County, right?
Yeah,
so,
we appreciate it.
We love Madison County, and I'll jokingly do this one time and call you Steve. So
there you go. Thank you very much.
Call him Steve.
He's Nathan.
We know it's Vince.
Nathan Hutchinson.
You can call me Steve. It's like our Paul Simon moment. You can call me Al.
Yeah. For all of our listeners under 40 years old, didn't get that, but
yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Nathan Hutchinson, Richmond Register Sports. Thanks.
Pizza and go home. I love
That's
the
right.
cheese sticks too.
Yes, Mad Mushroom Pizza.
Yes, the nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese dipping sauce. Thanks, Nathan. Hey, it's the Sports Stove Tailgate Show. Last one of the year. We'll still obviously do shows. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sports Stove. Get the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, the Sports Stove podcast. And then as well on YouTube, Sports Stove Podcast there as well. Big game coming up today. Kickoff at 3 o'clock. Kennesaw State versus EKU. My prediction, 35-23 EKU wins. That's my prediction for today's game. And hopefully you can make it out. If you can't, make sure you tune in and watch it on TV as well. Don't forget about Mad Mushroom Pizza. Come in, get some pizza, mention the Sports Stove Podcast, or order online, madmushroom.com. Use the code SPORTS5. You can get $5 off your purchase of $20 or more. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of the Sports Stove Tailgate Show. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.